This is the METS POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the New York Mets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The New York Mets sure know how to make things interesting. They hold on in the series opener in the desert against the Diamondbacks. Some timely hitting from Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor, and Edwin Diaz slams the door shut in the ninth inning as the Mets win the first game of this series. Another one-run clash, this one going their way, unlike yesterday. Welcome in to the Mets Postcast here on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel, the Locked On Mets podcast feed. I am your Postcast host, Chris Schubert, here with you after every single Mets game throughout the course of the season. And on a day like tonight, when it is nearly 1 a.m. in the morning on the East Coast, as we push the go live button, we definitely appreciate you being here with us to recap a Mets victory. And this game was cruising for the New York Mets to get right back into the win column, to rebound nicely, to wash the bad taste out of their mouths for what happened in St. Louis. It got a little scary. What's the saying? I know it's from the show How I Met Your Mother. Nothing good ever happens after 2 a.m. Well, for the Mets, it was nothing good happens after 12 a.m. because after the clock struck midnight on the East Coast, things started to go downhill for this team. But Edwin Diaz got a little revenge for what happened last year at this ballpark, locking things down in the ninth inning. Where should we start? I think we should start with what this win says about this baseball team.
This is what you'll be talking about.
When you are struggling like the Mets have been struggling, when you have lost 4 of 5, you look towards your best players to rally you. You look to the guys who back of their baseball cards are all-stars, gold gloves, power, RBIs, MVPs. You look to the guys that on the salary chart are making towards the top. And tonight, it was those guys that came through for the New York Mets. It was Francisco Lindor hitting the impactful 3-run home run that gave the Mets the insurance runs that we needed. It is Pete Alonso hitting another home run, an absolute moonshot in this game off the bat, 111 plus miles per hour, 425 feet. A absolute moonshot off of Ryan Nelson, who I think that's his 5th home run against Nelson. Pete Alonso delivered. Francisco Lindor delivered. Francisco Lindor also delivered in the ninth inning with that great defensive play, making up for Pete Alonso's miscue over at first base. Your best players, your MVP candidates, the guys you spend the most money on, the guys who you pay the most, those are the guys in these games when things are kind of going a little sideways. You need to get back on track. Those are the guys you look to. Those are the leaders in that room. And tonight, all of those guys contributed in a big way for the Mets to still be one of 2 teams in baseball. It is the New York Mets and it is the Chicago Cubs as the only 2 teams in baseball that have yet to lose 3 games in a row. And with the way yesterday went, you could see the wheels starting to fall off here. And with the way tonight started, with Griffin Canning in the bottom of the first, you could see the script playing out towards the Mets losing their 3rd consecutive game and us talking about for the first time this season, them having a 3-game losing streak. But they rallied. They had the timely hits. We talk about the situational hitting all the time. And normally when I take notes, if there's a bad at-bat in a key spot, I highlight it in red. If there's a good at-bat that happens in an important spot, I highlight that in green. There's a lot of green on my sheet tonight. It's the Pete Alonso home run, the 2-run home run, but it is the 7th inning or Alvarez beats out an infield single, Taylor hits a double, and so the Mets have 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. And what does Lindor do in that spot, needing those insurance runs? He hits the home run, a 3-run shot to make it 5-1. And then I have a little green in the 9th inning for the play that Francisco Lindor made. That, listen, there's some bias here, but looked out on every replay. Looked like he got him on the left foot before Thomas got his hand in there. Also looked like he might have gotten him on the right foot before the hand was in there. It was close. It was bang, bang. But just a great throw by Francisco Alvarez to put it in that spot. A great save by Lindor on the throw because it was kind of carrying into center field. And to snap that tag on there is just incredible stuff in that moment. And Lindor, a night he only has 1 hit, but it's a big hit, and he makes the one big defensive play that this team needed. We need to talk about it. We'll talk about the 8th inning in this game in particular, because it was the return to Dedniel Nunez to the big league level. It was Dedniel Nunez's first appearance this season, and it was, how do we say this nicely? It was not good from Dedniel Nunez tonight. Came in and just lacked the command of everything. Couldn't locate the slider, was bouncing it in front of the plate, was trying to throw the back foot slider, was missing the fastball. He was leaving up, didn't have command of any of it, and he was just fighting. He was fighting. And he got all 3 batters that he faced there in that 8th inning to full count. So he was just one good pitch away from getting out of all of them. But he didn't. It was 3 straight walks, and Carlos Mendoza had the quick hook there with the bases loaded to turn to Reed Garrett. I will say, somebody before we went live posted in the chat, and I love that while the game's going on, you love to put your thoughts as the game continues. Joshua put in there before we went live that Mendoza should have taken Nunez out after the 2 walks. Listen, did he have his best stuff tonight? No, absolutely not. Do I think even without having his best stuff, you need to take a guy out after 2 batters when he hasn't pitched yet this season? I think that's having too quick of a hook. I think he gets at least a 3rd batter. He has to stay in the game for 3 batters anyway. So you don't have a hook after 2 batters. You're not going to intentionally walk the 3rd batter to then get him out of there. He has to pitch to the 3rd batter. Don't have any issue with letting him try to fight through it. But after the 3rd batter, if he would have gotten that guy out, I think you still stick with him. But when it's the 3rd walk in a row, it's a 3rd full count in a row. So it's not only that he's walking, it's not only that he has all this base traffic, but he also is throwing a ton of pitches in all of these at-bats, all full counts. And it just felt like he didn't have it. And so after the 3rd batter, Carlos wasted little time going to Reed Garrett, who has thrived. It hasn't allowed an inherited runner to score before tonight. And listen, you can't put that on Reed. Listen, you can be great at not allowing those inherited runners to cross, but at some point the dam is going to break. At some point you're going to have a slip up. And doesn't this feel like the night that was going to happen? You come in a bases loaded spot with no outs, like a run's going to score, even a fly ball, even if you don't allow a hit. He did to Josh Naylor, but even if you don't allow a hit and you get a sac fly, a run is still scoring. So it was a really tough spot to put Garrett in. He battled enough to limit the damage, to keep it at 5-4. And then Edwin Diaz came in and shut things down there in the 9th inning. And so the Mets, after losing a pair of 1-run games yesterday, despite it trending to being the opposite of a 1-run game today, the Mets played another 1-run game tonight, and they were on the winning side of this one, 5-4. When we come back, we will break down Griffin Canning, who was solid once again. A interesting note that Gary Cohen mentioned on the broadcast tonight about Griffin Canning, and we'll break down his start tonight here on the other side. Do you ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it is easy to lose track. Well, that is where Monarch Money comes in. It is your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. Think of it as a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, your spending, investments, all in one place. So you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps to handle all of your finances, you can use Monarch to check those finances, to track your spending, and even plan long-term goals. Working with a partner on your finances, you can manage money smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That is monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Scaling your business, it requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more, experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. They give your business flexibility by connecting you with top freelance talent across multiple industries: IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. Posting a job is free and simple, and within a day, you're going to have multiple qualified candidates to choose from. Instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps find affordable, top-tier freelancers to scale your business efficiently. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's Upwork, UPWORK.com, to connect with top talent and grow your business today. Back here on the Mets postcast on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel and the Locked On Mets podcast feed. Thomas says he's got to go to bed. Listen, these are late night streams. We got a late night one tonight. We're going to have a late night one tomorrow. Just prepare yourself, Thomas. I don't want to hear any excuses tomorrow. Get that coffee ready to go. Probably 7th, 8th inning. Get it ready so that you can be with us. Listen, if I'm here, I want you all to be here, especially after a night like tonight where the Mets pick up a win and get back in the win column. Let's talk about Griffin Canning, who for the fifth straight start, did he get to a win, matching Zach Wheeler back in 2018 was the last Met to do this. And I thought Canning, despite the bumpy start, 2 pitches into the game, fastball right down the middle, Corbin Carroll proceeds to deposit that thing into right field. And you're thinking to yourself, oh, here we go again. 3 straight starters giving up home runs, 3 straight outings where the pitchers aren't going to have it. Do we have a pitching problem on our hands? He settled down, I would say. He still had base traffic. He still had trouble to work in and out of, but he realized, all right, they're on the fastball. It's not my best pitch anyway. And he started to lean heavily on the sliders. He got a double play ball in that first inning and started to use his off-speed stuff and featured it more. I looked at these numbers before we push live. So far this season, this is the way the usage breaks down for Canning and his pitches. 36% usage on the 4-seam, 34% usage on the slider, 24% usage on the change, and then he's got a cutter, a curve, and a sinker that he mixes in 3%, 2%, 1%. Well, tonight, and I'll refresh it one more time just so we make sure that the classifications are correct. And some of them may get changed later because I think he threw a couple of more cutters than he did changeups. But the way his 82 pitches broke down in this game, he threw 35 sliders, he threw 20 changeups, he threw 17 4-seamers, and he threw 10 knuckle curves. So a curveball that he only threw 2% of the time, according to Baseball Savant. He threw it a bunch more tonight and threw his slider and his changeup. So he backed off the 4-seam and he threw some more sliders and some changeups. Again, I think some of those changeups are actually cutters that may have gotten misclassified. But either way, he tweaked his arsenal a little bit tonight after early on going, they're on this fastball. Even though I'm not throwing it a ton, they're on it. So he threw the curve more, threw the slider more, did mix in some changeups. And so it was really impressive to see a guy battle and work through in real time. Okay, this is what they're doing. I need to now make the adjustment. And it was really impressive. In the second inning, he used that fastball as a secondary pitch. They're expecting the breaking ball. They're expecting that slider. They're expecting the knuckle curve. Paints a fastball on the outside corner to Gurriel. In the third, went back to that fastball again, caught the Diamondbacks napping a couple more times with fastballs on the outside corner. And in that third, he got a 1-2-3 inning. Ended up having a handful of strikeouts in this game. Did a really nice job. 6 strikeouts through the 5 innings, only the 1 walk. Did think it was a little aggressive from Carlos Mendoza to try to get him through the 6th inning, but I understand you've been playing a ton of baseball. You really want to try to get to 6 innings as often as you can. You don't want to have to always ask for 12 outs from your bullpen. So it's just a recipe for disaster. I think what we're seeing happen over the last week or so is a byproduct of asking your bullpen to get you that many outs every single night. And this is a bullpen that's down AJ Minter for the season now, is down Danny Young for the season now. The injuries are piling up out there. The injuries are piling up. Winker got put on the injured list. Looks like he's going to miss the next 6 to 8 weeks. So the injuries are piling up for this team. They're piling up in the bullpen. And so you're going to need that length to come into play. Not 8 innings, not even 7 innings. I think 6 innings every single night out is going to allow the Mets to really kind of manage this bullpen better and give Carlos Mendoza more choices instead of having to do this balancing act that he's doing, especially during a stretch like this where you're playing so many games in consecutive days. You don't have any built-in off days. You really have to be looking at that chart. Okay, how many pitches did this guy throw yesterday? Okay, how many can I ask of him today? That means he's not going to be available tomorrow. You're constantly thinking ahead here, especially during a stretch like this. But after a couple of 1-run losses yesterday, they are back in the win column. Will not have that 3-game losing streak on their record, at least not yet. And the first bit of revenge against the Arizona Diamondbacks, who last week took 2 out of 3 from Citi Field. So the season series now sits at 2 apiece with 2 more games to go here for the Mets. Their big-time players stepped up in a big-time moment. It's May 5th. I get it. But with the way that they had been playing lately, 2 losses in a row, a couple of one-run close losses where they couldn't come through with the timely hits, losers of 4 of their last 5, injury stacking up, felt like this was the biggest amount of adversity that this team had faced so far this season. And so you look to Pete Alonso, you look to Francisco Lindor. Those are the guys you look to in these moments, and those guys stepped up. And real quick, I do not want to leave here today without giving you an update on what Pete Alonso's numbers are so far this season. This is includes the 2 for 4 day today. So this is up to date, up to the minute with the home run tonight. He's got 9 home runs, 33 RBIs, 45 hits. He's hitting .349 with a .469 on base percentage and a .215 WRC plus. The difference a year makes. It was a year ago. Last year, he was hitting .240 after March and April. We were wondering if he was going to break out and be able to help this team. And as the season progressed, we wondered if we were watching in real time the end of Pete Alonso's tenure in New York. And if the struggles of being a free agent were getting to him, and if this is how he was going to go out, we were all upset and disappointed that that's how it was going to end. And I don't want to talk about another team in town, but it feels like one home run in the postseason has changed the fortunes of 2 different players, because I don't know if you saw what happened to Devin Williams in New York tonight for the other New York team. But since that home run, Pete Alonso is a different player and Devin Williams is a different pitcher. And if these numbers, I mean, I don't know how you keep these numbers up. He's got nearly a .470 on base percentage. He's hitting .350. I mean, this is incredible. And the reason why it's incredible, not the home runs, the moonshots, they come with the territory with Pete Alonso. You know he's going to hit the ball 115 miles an hour. You know he's going to crush the ball throughout the course of the season. You know that even if he hits 230, 240, he's got a chance to hit 35, 40 home runs. That comes with the territory. It's the little things that he does really well. Like tonight, he had a single. Forget which inning it was, but he had a single. It was after Soto hit the Mets' 3rd straight extra base hit. This was in the 7th after the Lindor home run. Alonso, breaking pitch down, just went with it, pulled it into left field, not trying to crush it, not trying to kill the ball, and gets a base hit. It's those types of swing decisions. It's the laying off those pitches close that has just allowed him to become this excellent hitter. And it is just incredible to see him have this start. And again, on a night when they needed it, he stepped up in a big way and put the Mets on the board first, and gave them their first lead at 2-1. That's going to do it for us here. It's late. It's past 1 o'clock now. Let's get you to bed. I'm going to hit the pillow. I'm going to get some sleep. How about we do it again tomorrow after the Mets and Diamondbacks catch up for the second game in this series? It is another late start, so make that coffee, get that extra little bit of caffeine. It's a 9:40 start. David Peterson and Zach Gallen. The Mets will try to get some revenge off of Gallen, who pitched well against them last week. And David Peterson will look to keep things rolling for the Mets and get them started on a winning streak. But that will do it for us here on the Mets Postcast. Appreciate you all joining us here on a little late night edition of the Mets Postcast. We'll be back at it again tomorrow to break down everything that happens. Have a good night, everybody.